Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the LHGPL Grand Finals between Omega Gaming Syndicate and the Akuma Shurikens. But before we get into the games today, we are going to run through our Fall 2020 LHGPL All Star team. I'm Gordo, joined once again by Rudude to start breaking down who some of these All Stars are going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody at home, we've got yourselves a nice little pre-show coming into tonight. Going to be running you through a little bit of background on the teams in the finals. This all-star team that has been picked up for their performance throughout the regular season, and then also a few little admin predictions as well as my predictions and Gordo's as well. So I think getting right underway here, we should be starting off with Nuthies, I believe, in the top lane.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at Nuffies here from Hostile, of course, who were that first place team coming out of the Shadow Isles group with a 6-0 series record, 12-0 game record, and of course, carried by Nuffies primarily, coming through with 52.91% KP, a huge amount for a top laner, as well as that 6.7% or 6.7 CS per minute and 15 solo kills across just 12 games.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately for Hostile, it obviously didn't prove to be enough to get them to these grand finals. Was the Akuma Shurikens who took them out, and with that, we can start moving on to some of their players as well here. Looking at Sluter in the mid lane, first of all, KDA of 7.39 and even higher kill participation, even higher CS per minute right here with the 7.74 as we come into the finals here, looking for that CS number to maybe even be increased. But you can see with the 7.3 KD that he is a very safe mid laner and doesn't often give up too many advantages to nearly anyone that he's playing up against. So keeping an eye on that in particular tonight will definitely be something to keep track of.
Yeah, and both of these solo laners in our all-star list going to be coming out with huge solo kill numbers. I believe these are just stats from the 12 regular season games, or 12 plus or minus, give or take a couple across 6 best of threes is what's important to keep in mind. And these are some pretty high numbers coming out into the mid-teens. But with that, we can move on towards the jungle position, going to be looking at Hexmist from the exact same team. The Akuma Shuriken is going to be playing later tonight, a 5.14 KDA, 62.93% KDA, absolutely massive there. A 16.3% vision score, not sure how that translates, and a 54% first blood percentage as an individual player. That is absurd.
Exactly. And coming into tonight, there's something there that we can definitely take on and try and see if we spot it in the games, right? More than 50% of the games, he is finding first blood, which as a jungler is exactly what you want to happen. And on champions such as this Lee Sin, which you can see is a pocket pick, a staple for Hexmist in the jungle. If we're able to see those early first bloods, able to see some early aggression, then this should set up the Akuma roster for a fairly substantial lead in the early game and get them catapulted to a strong start.
Absolutely. And with that, we will move on towards our next player here. You can see it is going to be Dibble coming in from the Binks Gaming Guardians, another team that unfortunately was not able to make it all the way to the finals here. They also had a 6-0 record over in the Shurima group, 12-1 game record, and eventually being felled by our other finalist team, Omega Gaming Syndicate. During their group stage, also had a very dominant performance in the bot lane, nearly an 8.0 KDA for Dibble here, 65% KP, 9 CS per minute, and a 28% damage percent.
Exactly. So you can see that for Binks, this was a key, crucial member and somebody that definitely is worthy of that all-star performance. And with that, we can move over to his actual laning partner right now. We've got Stone, who nets the all-star support role as well. So the Gaming Guardians here getting themselves 2 slots on the all-star roster and both coming out of the bot lane. Stone here with a really impressive average assists, vision score 37.33%, which is the percentage of his team's vision score. So putting down more than a third of the wards, clearing more than a third of them away in combination. And you can see on a support such as Alistair, which is what he's known for here, having a KD of 5.44 shows how cognizant he was with his engages, how reliable and how sort of planned out they were, that he knew he had the follow-up to get these assists, but not necessarily have to give his life for them as well.
Yeah, and we can see the Binks Gaming Guardians really did have quite the run of it here. They were challenging the Omega Gaming Syndicate team for quite a close best of three, eventually losing it in 3 games. But they can definitely walk away with their bot lane at least feeling pretty proud about these all-star accomplishments. Now, with these covered, we are going to move on to covering tonight's teams in particular, Omega Gaming Syndicate and the Akuma Shurikens. We can take a look at some of the journeys that led both of these teams towards this place.
Yeah, exactly. Starting off with the Shurikens here, we mentioned that both of these teams were able to take down the first seed from other groups here in their semi-finals. You can see there 3-0 over Hostile. A lot of momentum coming into tonight, as well as a swift 2-0 in the quarterfinals as well. You can see that obviously with their first seed in the regular season, 11-2 as their game record, only dropping 2 games and even then taking a game away from their victors in that game. The Shurikens are coming in. They're looking very strong here. Not dropped a game in the playoffs, and they're going to look to continue that through to the finals.
Yeah, and important to remember for both of these teams when we're looking at their group stages records is that they were in the exact same group. Both were in the Void group throughout the group stage of this tournament, both ending with a 5-1 series record, ending up with a 1-1 series record against each other, a tie that is going to end up broken tonight. If we want to glance on over to the Omega Gaming Syndicate roster and what's brought them here, they were the second seed in that same group. Additionally, with a 5-1 series record, but with a slightly lower 10-3 game record. They were able to take a 2-0 against Iceborne Kingdom in the play-ins, where they had to go as second seed, and they were then able to move up past those Binks Gaming Guardians in the quarterfinals, and finally last week taking a very close 3-2 series against the Baby Pengies.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe coming in, we can see that Syndicate's path to the finals has been a little bit more difficult, a bit more rocky, a little bit of a more treacherous terrain on their way through to the final. But at the end of the day, victories are victories. They are here. They're representing Omega here tonight, who are already accruing quite a few championships so far, just this split. And they're going to be looking to make this one, I think, the third for the organization so far.
Yeah, definitely something to be proud of here. And with these facts all established for the teams, we're going to take a little bit of a look at what some of the LHG staff think are going to happen tonight. We've got some of the predictions coming through for these teams here. You can see a couple of predictions, but going different ways, but nearly all of them predicting a close 5-game series.
Exactly, that is the point here. That no matter who is going to come away with the victory, we are expecting a long series, an entertaining series, and one that both of the teams should be proud to put up with. Akuma, obviously, also off the back of a series victory last night as well in Focus. Over there, they are looking to bring home a second tournament organizer or a tournament victory for them this time round. You can see Doan, Kobeman, Hannah all favoring the Akuma roster, whereas Sky High in second, looking to see if Omega can bring that one home. But as you mentioned, Gordo, 3-2s nearly across the board. It's going to be a nice and tight series throughout.
Yeah, and we have been asked to give our own predictions on the series as well, and I feel like I'm going to be joining right in with all those 3-2 predictions. Think I'm going to be leaning a bit towards the Akuma Shurikens in tonight's game. I feel like the last time these teams met each other, it was once again a close series, and while Omega Gaming were able to reverse sweep the best of 3 and take the back 2 games, they were only able to do that once there were no longer any stakes. The Akuma Shurikens were able to lock in first seed of the group following their first win in the series, and from then on out, the Omega win, while impressive, didn't really mean anything for the standings.
And then, okay, I appreciate that, Gordon. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do you one better. I will play devil's advocate here, and I will say that Omega are going to win this 3-2. And I'm going to say that it's whenever it's going to be off the back of their new mid laner for playoffs. Intexi is going to come on in and perform when it matters here. Yes, all of their series have been incredibly tight, but all that shows is mental fortitude and determination to get the job done when it matters most. Tight series are the things that build up character and build up strength within a team. And the amount of times that they've had to come back from deficits, fight for their spot to get even this far, shows that they are a team that is well coordinated together. They should be happy playing with one another. And I think that that level of hardship that they've had to overcome to get to the finals might actually get them the victory here tonight.
Yeah, certainly is something to be said for all the games that the side of Omega Gaming Syndicate have really gone through at this point, winning a 2-0 in the play-ins, but since then every series has gone to the maximum amount of games. They played a 3-game best of 3 in the quarterfinals and a 5-game best of 5 in the semifinals. Definitely have gotten quite a few games under their belt as a result. But as I already said, the Akuma Shurikens got to be able to keep in mind the fact that they just have not been dropping games at all. They've dropped 2 games so far in this entire league, and those 2 games have been to Omega Gaming Syndicate.
Exactly. The consistency for the Akuma squad has definitely been there throughout, and it's something that we cannot take away from them. And it's something to look at here. Game number one could be very telling, but it also could just fit the trend perfectly. If Akuma, for example, take game number one, then they're right on track with where they want to be. Syndicate as well, dropping 2 games is something that they are accustomed to at this point, and maybe it's not something that they should be, but it's something that they're ready for. And if they're able to pull out, the mental faculties, the resources to turn the series back around, we are obviously going to be in for an incredible game and an incredible evening here on the Omega channel. And in between games, we are going to be giving you a game MVP, and then at the end of it all, we will be awarding a series MVP as well. So keep your eyes out for those. A little bit of insight from myself and Gordo here in between the games to sort of highlight the key players going forward.
Yeah, and 2 of those key players that we're going to be keeping an eye on coming into this series are going to be Sluter and Hexmith, the two that have made this all-star team following a pretty dominant regular season performance.
Exactly. The mid jungle duo definitely going to be keeping our eyes on that for the Akuma Shurikens, and is somewhere for everybody at home to be realizing that these guys are the real deal. They are where the win conditions lie for Akuma. See if they can continue that with, gusto, with force to try and take home a quick 3-0 series.
Absolutely the case. And while none of them were able to make it onto the all star team, likely as a result of regular season performance, Omega had quite a few roster shakeups coming in throughout the regular season here, if I remember correctly.
Definitely have transitioned a mid laner from regular season through to playoffs. We mentioned in Texi himself coming in, replacing Zui, I believe, in the mid lane. Somebody else, somebody that has come in and has performed admirably so far. A couple of cheeky pocket picks as well. Notably, I believe a Malphite mid lane was picked up at some point in the last series that they played, that semi-finals, that was all crucial. A full AP Malphite mid lane came through, and if we see that once again, then I mean, hey, that could be something to keep our eyes on, because a Malphite mid lane, big rock does big damages if they build that magic damage.
Yeah, also saw the swap out in the support position from Omega Gaming Syndicate in the regular season there, swapping out Golden Toad for Rutinium and ending up seeing a lot of success as a result. They were a little bit shaky coming off right at the beginning, and that's where they lost their first series to the Akuma Shurikens. But as the season went on, as they were able to get their roster solidified, as they were able to get more experience, they really were able to step up and become one of the most dominant teams in this league, making it all the way to this grand final.
Exactly, and regardless of the shakeups, regardless of the rosters, both of these teams have earned their spot in the final, and we are going to have ourselves a beautiful series to come through. And I think, Gordo, with that all being said and done, this is the perfect time for us to throw it to a short break, get all the teams loaded up, and when we return, guys, it's going to be the start of the finals.
Absolutely the case there, Rudude. And so we are going to throw it to a short break. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for today's awards and predictions show. But we will be right back to get into Game 1 Champion Select before you know it. Don't go anywhere.